The moment you've all been waiting for, the time when streamer goes over the balance patch notes, for it is rightly so the talk of the town. This is the town, and being the mayor of this particular district, city, whatever, community, I would like to share some words and some thoughts on the StarCraft 2 Balance Update 2019, posted October 3rd. This is the post-BlizzCon potential changes that are coming up here. So first of all, I'm going to set up this scene and then also enable my webcam for said scene so you can see my reactions and thoughts, because hopefully that helps in some way. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's maximize this. Maximum reading space here. Okay. So, hello everyone. Each year we take a step back and we think to ourselves, lol, people are pissed. We should change some stuff. So as we get closer to the next BlizzCon, Cyril winning again, we're looking to try and make sure he doesn't win every single year for the rest of all time. Before we start, bear in mind that people are always going to complain no matter what we do. We're just trying our best here. Let's move along to the Terran changes. Okay, Terran, Hellion Hellbat. The blue flame cost is cheaper now. Zerglings are toast. Drones are toast. This tells a story about the time when Terrans discovered that this was an upgrade that could get free wins against Zerg. No, this is interesting. Blue flame Hellion openers are pretty risky to go for, and I don't think this will change it that much. You may see the build more often. Blue Flame Hellions do fall flat on their face against roach openings, so I don't think this is a super huge change, but I will probably lose about 4 games to Blue Flame Hellion timings. This Thor change here, high impact payload damage, which is the anti-air version. The long and short of this, I already read through these notes before stream. They can shoot at the same speed against air that they do against ground. So this just makes the unit feel better in terms of how fast it fires and whatnot. Basically, before, Thors were like... but now they're going to be like... So that's how that's going to be changed. And then the Viking, they're just going to keep increasing the health. Is there any end in sight to this? Probably not. I just want to remind everyone that it had got a health buff before. It's going to go up to 150. I think it's going to go up to 165 next, personally. This is a really interesting trend. This is like the new bunker change. Before it was you change the bunker build time every patch. Now it's you just increase Viking health. That's probably what's coming up here. Medivac upgrade is going to the fusion core. It just gives them a flat movement speed buff, and it doesn't affect them during the Ignite Afterburners ability. So this is cool. This is making the battlecruiser opening into bio pretty strong. Overall, this is pretty nice. I would guess that Terrans are maybe happy about this. Liberator range upgrade is moved to the fusion core, and the range that you get total is lower. The theme of this patch, so far we're going to see this as we go through, is the things that are really long range are going to be a little bit shortened. So things are going to get a little bit intimate here. There are going to be more exchanges of damage and stuff. You're not going to have as many dicey, stalematey kind of engagements. It's basically incentivizing people to get their units into the fray and trade them out and have some fights and stuff, which is basically what they want to have happen as a competitive esport title. The Raven is getting changed. It's faster now. The energy cost is increased. This is all like TVT stuff. The Raven is a unit that you don't really see too much from the Zerg point of view, so this is the kind of change that I would guess Terran players will be happy about. I know that I've seen Ruff say that he was kind of tired of how stale TVT has been, so this should be a little bit of help there. It's basically where that change is directed. The battlecruiser has a vulnerability stage for 1 second before it teleports out. This is awesome. The most frustrating thing to face, I think, as Zerg from Terran is battle cruisers that just never die. They just zoom in, kill a bunch of stuff, teleport out, zoom in, kill a bunch of stuff, teleport out. This means that you have some counterplay here. It looks like you can also cancel the tactical jump. This is a pretty massive change right here. That's going to weaken battle cruiser play somewhat. And then the jump is going to be happening less often as well. So they did a big patch last year, bringing the battlecruiser into the meta. It seems like they've watched things happen throughout the year, and the battlecruiser opening is taking up a little bit too much space, so they're going to tune it back a little bit. This also is another small nerf to the battlecruiser, so it seems like it gets 3 nerfs to it. The mule is getting cleaned up a little bit. The duration is decreased, but that ends up saving Terran's money, so this is technically a buff. This is also technically a buff, so the unit should just function a little bit better in terms of its role. And then the Zerg got a bunch of big changes here. The infested Terrans are much stronger units now. From my perspective, they've been really, really garbage. Like, it feels like when you throw them down, the question is, do you have a ton of infestor energy or not? Because if you have a ton, then you're just going to crush whatever's in front of you. And if you don't, then they're just going to get deleted before they can even do any damage. So this might make stuff like the tactical infestor plays better. Just the little, like, burrow some infestor, just throw some infested Terran in. The infested Terran through all these changes are stronger now, but you get less of them. So let's see, the infested Terran energy cost is doubled. The health is increased. So if it's doubled, that means that a full energy infestor can only throw out half as many, but they're going to be better for each unit. They're going to redesign the infested Terran ability, make it feel like it's more of a commitment, meaningful choice as opposed to just spamming rapid fire. Neural parasite range is decreased, but they removed the upgrade. Overall, I think this is a fun change that moves Zerg away from the late game mass Broodlord Infestor and more in the vein of like Infestor harass funny plays. The Lurker change is probably the one that I'm most interested by of all of these. Lurker Den time is decreased, which is good. The Lurker Den takes really long to build. It's 86 seconds, but now it's going to be 57, so that's a really nice change. I don't really know how they get these numbers. It's kind of interesting to me. Lurker range is decreased, but then there's an upgrade that requires Hive, and it increases their range to 10. So here they're saying that they're trying to provide an alternative to Broodlord as a late game option against Protoss ground units. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool idea. Technically, Lurkers and Broodlords are both countered by Tempest, the same unit, so I feel like it may end up being a preference thing, but Lurkers can do more at lair tech than Broodlords can, obviously. There's Adaptive Talons. Did that get changed? Yeah, it's 3 seconds longer to research. Probably won't notice this at all. Broodlord leash range decreased from 12 to 9. So basically this means their range is going to be more consistent. Whenever you're using a Broodlord, you can see the Broodlings kind of come out from the Broodlord a little bit, and then they can throw them. This is going to prevent that, so they're always under the Brood when they throw them down. Again, fitting with the theme of reducing the range of the longest range units in the game. And then Nydus got a pretty substantial nerf here. The unload delays increase, so stuff is exiting slower. The load period is longer, so it takes longer to put stuff in. And then unload period from the exit is also slower. And then they're basically creating an upgrade to make the Nydus what it was before. And you need Hive for that. So I think for Zergs, this is going to affect ZVZ the most, unless you Nydus people in ZVT and ZVP. It's pretty interesting as a change. I would think that for a lot of this, it's going to incentivize more of that decision point between should I go for some Overlord drop harass or some Nydus play. With the Nydus in the current patch, it seems like it's so cheap and so strong that dropping stuff only really makes sense for, say, 4 Banelings or something. Whereas now you may have more of a decision-making point of, do you want to do some Doom drops or some multi-drops instead of that? Because it is getting a decent nerf here. Summon Nydus Worm ability cooldown. So the long and short of this is it takes 14 seconds to initiate the Nydus exit. If it gets killed while it's building, you still have to wait until that 14 seconds is up, but if it finishes, you can just start another one. That seems pretty fair. And then the Oracle, this is a bug, I think, that's been in the game for a while. They were dealing extra damage if they killed the unit they were attacking. I think this bug has been known for a good bit, so it's good that that's being changed. Zealot charge nerf here. They're still going to have the charge damage, but they're adding a research upgrade for it. So you have the one theme of this patch, which is the longest range units have their range reduced. And then the other theme is the strongest parts of StarCraft right now are going to require an upgrade. So Zealot charge impact, the Nydus requires an upgrade now. The Battlecruiser got a few changes to it that were nerfs. I guess you don't have to research stuff, but they did add research for what? Or no, they changed research for the Medivac. And then the Adept here is being reworked a little bit. They're trying to push the Adept more into a mid-game viable unit. Currently, it's one of those, in the early game you make 1 or 2 of them against Zerg, and then maybe you go for a glaive timing, but after you have your 3 bases set up, it's basically not a factor anymore. So they're trying to bring the Adept more into the game a little bit. So by weakening the Zealot and improving the Adept, there's more of a decision there. Right now, it's kind of just the Zealot is a better unit, period, at almost every stage of the game. Observer speed was decreased, so this is just reverting it back to what it was before. Apparently they were too zoomy. And then Void Ray getting a little bit of love here. There's an upgrade on the Fleet Beacon to increase their move speed, acceleration. The Prismatic Alignment still reduces its speed. So pretty cheap research costs, but the Fleet Beacon is pretty far in the tech tree. This is a pretty cool upgrade. Void Rays are units that you don't really see at the highest level of play that much, so giving it a little bit of love I think is fine. This is one of those lower league power units, I think, because countering them is something that a lot of newer players don't know how to do very well. So I would guess that there may be some people who end up being grumpy about this if they're not Protoss. So the Tempest anti-air range is reduced by 1. The health is increased and the shields are decreased, but overall it's a net gain of 25 hit points. That's fine, that's fair. The EMP stuff doesn't really affect Zerg, but they have felt like they're paper mache from my perspective. Mothership now affects air units in addition to ground. And then the time warp delay, 3.57 to 1.79. Yeah, so they're trying to buff this and make it more awe-inspiring. Personally, I'm already inspired. I'm, at the difficulty of facing a mothership. But, yeah, I could see that. I could see that as a thing. It's pretty expensive. So yeah, this is the post-BlizzCon potential changes. Please bear in mind that no matter what they do, everyone is going to shit the bed anyway. And I think that's fine to an extent. People like to complain about the video games they play and basically give very strong opinions about why they have a better understanding of how to balance StarCraft 2 than the balance design team does. Personally, the vast majority of these don't really affect me that much. Your game experience should be basically the same, unless you've been specifically focusing on one of these units that's getting a change with your strategies. So if you do a Zealot Prism all in every game, it's going to suck, and you might want to figure out how to take a different base or something like that. Yeah, this is the little review here. Hope you're all very excited. I'm pretty stoked. This is a nice change. Nice set of changes here. It's fairly drastic. The usual progression for them is they do a big design change after BlizzCon while it's the sort of off season, see how things pan out, and then tune it for the next year. And then they keep trying to tune it, moving up toward BlizzCon, and then go for another big change again. When do the changes come into effect? It's already on the test map, so you can load this as a test map, and I think you may be able to queue into it on the ladder. Let me see. Can you do that? Testing. Yeah. I think this is it. Balanced test mod. So up here, versus, just go to testing, and then you can queue into it. How cool is that? Thank you for listening. This has been Neuro. What do you think about the patch notes for October 3rd's proposed changes? I'm okay.